Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am super thrilled to have you here today because we're going to embark on a really fascinating journey into the hidden architecture of our own minds. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the anatomy of a dream. We so often think of our dreams as these completely random, chaotic, or even magical hallucinations that just sort of happen to us in the dark. But what if I told you they're actually highly structured, carefully constructed simulations? I mean, think about it. Have you ever dreamed of your teeth falling out? Or maybe you've had that completely terrifying dream where you're trying to run away from something, but your legs feel like they're moving through thick molasses and you're just totally stuck in place. Honestly, we've almost all been there. But here is the secret. Those universal dream experiences, they are not just random glitches in your brain. They actually have really fascinating, concrete biological and psychological roots. And today, using some incredible data from sleep science, we are going to unpack exactly why they happen.
Okay, so to really understand this, we need to start with a foundational premise, and that's the scaffolding of the dream world. Basically, everything we pay attention to while we're awake, our daily commutes, a lingering argument we had, the movie we literally just watched, our personal memories, all of that permeates directly into our sleeping narratives. Our waking reality isn't just represented in the sleeping mind, it's deliberately misrepresented and transformed to build the physical structure or the scaffolding of our dreams. To systematically deconstruct how this all works, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover 1. The scaffolding of dreams, 2. Inside the sleep lab, 3. Universal and social dreams, 4. The sleeping body's influence, and 5. How the outside seeps in. We are going to break down exactly how the mind, the body, and our environment play a role in dreaming. All right, let's jump straight into part 1, the scaffolding of dreams, building the simulation.
For the longest time, scientists were wondering, is a dream just imagination, like a passing thought, or is it a true, tangible, perceptual experience? Well, researchers actually tested this using lucid dreamers. Those are the people who know they're dreaming and can control their actions. So in waking life, if you follow a moving object with your eyes move in this incredibly fluid, continuous motion called smooth pursuit. But if you close your eyes and just imagine that object moving, your eyes actually make these tiny, jerky movements. They can't fake it. So scientists asked lucid dreamers to trace an infinity shape with their thumb in their dream and follow it with their dreamed eyes. And guess what? The physical tracking devices on their real sleeping bodies recorded perfect smooth pursuit. The crucial takeaway here is that the things you see in your dreams are registered by your brain almost identically to how you see things in waking life. It's not just imagination, guys. It is a highly vivid simulation.
Moving on to part 2, inside the sleep lab, capturing the unconscious. A standard sleep lab setup is basically this hidden gateway straight into the unconscious mind. When subjects come in, scientists don't just, sit there and watch them sleep. They are collecting massive amounts of data over an entire 8-hour night. They've got electrodes on the scalp to measure brain waves, little tubes going into the nostrils to measure airflow, microphones to catch even the slightest tickle of snoring, and sensors to measure muscle twitches. All of these super subtle signals of the living body are recorded to essentially map the physical footprint of the dream world. But how do they actually capture the dream narrative itself before it fades? Well, they use this very specific 4-step interruption protocol. First, they wait for the subject to enter REM sleep, which is characterized by those famous rapid eye movements. Second, they wait about 5 to 10 minutes for the brain and muscle activity to really ramp up. Then third, the researcher very gently calls the subject's name over a microphone to wake them up. And finally, step 4, they immediately record the dream report while the subject pieces together the fragments before they completely vanish. It's this precise, gentle interruption that gives us prime access to a dream right before it falls away.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates what happens when the pressure of that very lab environment seeps into the subject's mind. Just listen to this quote from a real sleep lab subject. "I dreamed that the experiment was going on too long. I felt like I wasn't performing well enough on the sleep side." I mean, think about that for a second. The unusual pressure of needing to sleep well for a scientist is totally omnipresent. Dreams are incredibly performative. The waking concern of, "Oh man, I need to give this researcher good data," literally becomes the scaffolding of the dream itself.
Which brings us to part 3, universal and social dreams, the mind's nightly rehearsal. Get this. When researchers analyze dreams collected from people just sleeping normally in their own beds at home, a staggering 80% of them involve social situations. 80%! Family members make up a quarter of the characters, and friends make up another huge chunk. Why is that? Well, because we're fundamentally a social species. Dreams very likely evolved as a sort of nightly rehearsal space. They act as a safe simulation that lets us test out interactions, face potential social embarrassment, or re-engage with people to reinforce our waking social skills overnight. So we can kind of categorize the mind's framework into three core dream designs. First, social simulation, like we just talked about. Second, skill rehearsal. Think about those incredibly frustrating dreams where you're endlessly trying to catch a bus or looking for a specific outfit or arriving late for an exam. These goal-oriented dreams are all about process and repetition. You're practicing a challenge over and over. And third, exploration. Finding a new secret room in your house is actually a surprisingly common dream. It shows us that the dreaming mind doesn't just start with a fixed static map. It continuously creates brand new spatial worlds for us to probe and explore as we wander through them. All right, part 4. The sleeping body's influence. Sensations driving the narrative.
74%. That is the number of times subjects report vivid, highly visual dreams when they are awakened precisely during those jerky, rapid eye movements. The body physically experiences what is happening in the dream, and the dream responds right back to what's happening in the body. They are completely linked.
So how does this actually build into the crazy dreams we experience? Well, during REM sleep, our bodies are naturally paralyzed, which is a good thing, so we don't act out our dreams and accidentally hurt ourselves. But occasionally, a tiny bodily twitch breaks through that paralysis. Here is the biological sequence of what happens next. First, your body twitches. Let's say it's a hypnic jerk in your leg right as you fall asleep. Second, because the rest of your body is totally still and paralyzed, that tiny physical signal is massively amplified in your brain. Third, the dreaming mind has to make sense of this sudden, loud sensory signal, so it incorporates it into the narrative by creating a dramatic visual. Boom, you're suddenly tripping and falling down a massive flight of stairs. And hey, this brings us right back to the very beginning. Why do nearly 40% of people dream of their teeth falling out? It bears almost zero resemblance to anything in waking life. Well, science suggests it's actually a direct result of clenching or grinding your teeth during the night. Your sleeping brain feels that real dental irritation and just builds a bizarre narrative to explain it away. And what about exploding head syndrome? You know, that terrifying feeling of a deafening noise waking you up? It's completely harmless. It's likely just tiny twitches of a middle ear muscle being massively amplified by the dreaming mind. Basically, your paralyzed sleeping body is acting as a prompt, feeding the script right to your dreaming brain. Finally, let's hit part 5. How the outside seeps in. The environment breaches the simulation. You have almost certainly experienced this if you've ever had your real-life alarm clock sound weave its way into your dream as, say, a fire engine or a singing bird right before you wake up. Scientists really wanted to test this exact seepage precisely. So, in a truly fascinating study out of Montreal, experimenters deliberately inflated a blood pressure cuff on the legs of sleeping subjects who were actively in REM sleep. They just wanted to see what the dream would do with that literal, physical information.
One subject was woken up and reported this. I could feel the pressure pump on my leg. It feels like a hug. I mean, that is an incredible direct incorporation. The brain felt the literal pressure from the real world outside and completely seamlessly wrote it into the dreamscape as a pleasant, comforting embrace.
But here's the crazy part. For another dreamer in that exact same experiment, that exact same physical pressure cuff didn't become a hug. It morphed into a dream about a horse trapping its leg. And this brilliantly illustrates how the brain just gets endlessly creative. It takes the physical stimulus, completely changes the ownership of it, and projects it onto an entirely different character in the dream environment. Now, the brain achieves this real-time dream editing through a process called binding. Binding is just the brain's process of collecting sensory features of the world and integrating them into coherent objects. To give you an absolutely amazing anecdote of this, a prominent dream scientist named Tori Nielsen once fell asleep sitting upright at a conference. Just as he nodded off, his eyes saw a slide on the screen of a brown wooden door, and at that exact simultaneous moment, the speaker accidentally made a loud thud by hitting the microphone. Nielsen's sleeping brain instantaneously bound the visual memory of the door and the real-world sound of the microphone thud, resulting in this sudden, vivid microdream of a heavy wooden door slamming shut. Our brains are literally the ultimate real-time movie editors. All right, so as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question. Dreams are clearly not just random static. They are deeply meaningful, multi-layered constructions. So next time you wake up from a truly bizarre dream, take a quick moment. Ask yourself, was it an unresolved social anxiety playing out in your mind? Was it a tiny physical twitch or a cramped muscle in your sleeping body? Or was it just a sound from the outside world creeping in through your bedroom window? The anatomy of your dream world is right there waiting for you to unlock it. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore the fascinating science of the sleeping mind. See you next time.